Hello, good evening and welcome to Business here on Joy News Prime with me, Beverly Broohm. We go straight to our very first story, and the cedi's stability against the US dollar continues to impact positively on other sectors of the economy. Data from the Ghana Statistical Services on inflation for April 2023 show that the general price levels for imported items witnessed some significant drop to hit 43.1%. George Riafe has the rest of the story.
Ghana Statistical Service data showed that from March to April this year, imported inflation dropped by almost 9%, a move that has been described by some analysts as a record development. It is also believed that the cedi's performance had played an important role in helping inflation rate for April 2023 decline to 41.2%. This is because some of these importers didn't require a lot more Ghana cedis to import the same value of items. This meant that they didn't pass on those costs to consumers in the form of higher prices. Others want us to believe that the global inflation numbers are also declining, so it's not really about the Ghana cedi stability. But for some, the biggest concern here is that can the stability be linked to positive developments in the economy or described as an artificial one?
We feel that there is a lot that we have to do at the real sector perspective to complement whatever the central bank is doing to ensure that we bring down inflation. So it's our expectation that conversations would ensue around why consistently in the last 3 months we are seeing the Western North region recording the highest food inflation, why we're going to ask questions that in the last 7 months the Volta region has recorded the least food inflation. This is the conversation that should happen in order to help us better predict the indirect effect that we are only hypothesizing that it would affect inflation.
Again, will inflation rate continue dropping, as the Bank of Ghana is even projecting that it will get below 29% by the end of this year? Also, when are we going to see these positive macroeconomic developments impact on consumers when it comes to price reductions in the area of transport fares and prices of some commodities on the market?
Now, the managing director of GCB Bank, John Kofi Adomako, is asking the Bank of Ghana to take a relook at its monetary policy rates if it wants banks to reduce interest on lending rates. This comes after calls from the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, LC Ado-Awaji, to commercial banks to reduce cost of borrowing by business due to a consistent drop in inflation to 41.2% in April. According to Mr. Adomako, the drivers of the lending rate currently do not call for reduction. He spoke to Joy Business at the Ghana Employers Association's annual leadership conference. The following report has more.
This year's annual leadership conference was to deliberate on issues pertaining to women in leadership and specifically on policies that support the work done by various stakeholders in narrowing the gender gap at the apex of leadership. Speaking to Joy Business at the event, Managing Director at GCB Bank, John Kofi Adomako, said banks are willing to collaborate with government in supporting business.
Well, lending rates, banks' lending rates depend on a number of things. Okay, and those drivers of the lending rates are very clear. Okay, so if interest rates generally come down, banks will have no choice than to reduce interest rates. Interest rates are currently high. Okay, and that's why lending rates are high. Okay, so the Bank of Ghana, through monetary policy, will try and manage all of interest rates, as you say, to bring down inflation. So next MPC meeting comes up in a few days. Let's see how things go. But banks do not just bring interest rates down or take interest rates up. It's a measure of the temperature in the economy, and that's how it works.
On this part, Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Employers Association, Alex Frempong, called for the need to advance gender parity in the corporate space of Ghana by convening leaders from diverse backgrounds to deliberate and act on the real opportunities available for women and underlining challenges that ought to be surmounted.
I think the association has been running a women's empowerment program since 2019. And in the process, we have been able to enroll a good number of women, and on their return to their various organizations, they are showing signs of progress they are showing signs of competence, and they are showing signs that, given the opportunity, they can break the glass ceiling and assume position of responsibility at the highest level in their various organizations. So we decided last year to bring all of them together to share their experiences, to touch base with each other, and look at how collectively they can improve upon their capacity to, as women, make differences in the organization by aspiring to take the leadership mantle.
During this year's program, cohort 3 and 4 of 83 participants of the Female Future program in Ghana graduated and were inducted into the alumni network. This year's conference was under the theme, Powering the Future with Balanced Participation in Decision-Making.
Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs is calling for the establishment of an independent parliamentary budget office to monitor Ghana's monetary and fiscal systems. This, the Institute says, will ensure a strict monetary and fiscal management system to transform the economy. Addressing a group of civil society organizations, Director of Research, Dr. John Kwache, said a parliamentary budget office is necessary in assessing and estimating the cost of government projects and programs.
We are calling for the establishment of an independent parliamentary budget office. That's what is normally called a fiscal council. Okay? Now, in the US, they have a congressional budget office. In the UK, they have Office of Budget Responsibility. And others have fiscal councils. Now, the idea of a parliamentary budget office is that it is manned by independent professionals. They are not appointed by the president. And they work with Parliament, they assist Parliament in carrying out its oversight role over the budget. We want one, set up in Parliament in Ghana. They should be independent professionals appointed by the Public Services Commission, not the president. The president, we had established 2018 Fiscal Policy Advisory Council. It was appointed by him, and they work under him, and they are paid by him. We don't want that. Since they were formed, we haven't even heard about them. They are working in secrecy. We don't want, that's not the kind of fiscal council or parliamentary budget office that we are asking for. These are some of the functions that they will be undertaking, quite a government independent evaluation of government budgets, making forecasts, monitoring implementation of the budget, carrying out independent estimates of the cost of government projects, especially this. You see, we are in this country where, there's always the argument between the ruling party and the opposition that you constructed this interchange at an exorbitant price, or maybe an airport or something. And then you never get the truth. If we had a parliamentary budget office, they will come out with their estimates of the cost of the government projects and give it to Parliament, make it available to Parliament.
Now, many investors are looking for adequate information on how businesses are considering environmental, social, and governance, as well as other initiatives of the Sustainable Development Goals. To this end, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, together with other partner agencies, have been engaging members on the need to include integrated reporting in their operations. Now, according to the organization, Ghanaian businesses can take advantage of the current trend to attract more investors into key sectors of the economy. Here's a report.
The move to get accountants and financial officers abreast of current trends in financial reporting and environmental sustainable governance is influenced by the ongoing global shift towards achieving targets in the Sustainable Development Goals. The Forum on Integrated Financial Reporting is timely to help practitioners in Ghana have a better understanding of what investors are expecting in the current trends. Global President for the ACCA, Joseph Opeyemi Owolabi, spoke to Joy Business after a forum by the Ghana Office for Members on Integrated Financial Reporting in Accra.
There are significant opportunities and advantages for Ghanaian businesses to actually go the integrated reporting way. Our speaker today touched on the fact that South Africa, not just on the continent, but in the world, we're leading with this in the early 2010s. Ghana has a significant opportunity to get on that train because of some of the initiatives, the year of the return, beyond the return, and some of this initiative you've been doing, you've been telling the story, the African story, the Ghanaian story. So by incorporating integrated report into it, it allows investors to understand not just how the banks are doing, or the telecoms, or your digital companies, or agriculture, but they see the story. They see how agriculture is impacting communities, vulnerable communities, how the farmers are contributing to the GDP, about currently going to about 50%. And all of these stories you can, leveraging integrated reporting, show that to investors. But remember, integrated reporting is not just for investors, it's for the communities.
President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, Senna Dake, believes that training is critical to enhance the skills of members towards the attainment of the SDGs.
Sustainability accounting is one of the new emerging trends that all accountants must be very familiar with, because it helps us to prepare our financial reporting in an integrated format. This is a new thing, and all accountants must become very conversant with it. So this is a very great opportunity for ACCA and other affiliated institutions with the ACCA to have a discussion and a forum on.
The forum is part of many initiatives by the ACCA to support members with adequate knowledge on the new trends in financial reporting.
Let's do some more stories now. And the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, has rolled out the self-employed enrollment drive to provide pensions and related benefits to self-employed workers in the informal sector. It is in line with the Trust's mandate to extend pension coverage to all workers, especially the self-employed. Director General John Ofori-Tinkran says in the past 9 months, the number of self-employed persons enrolled on the trust has doubled.
Only 1.9 million of the 10 million workers in the country are covered under the SNIT scheme. Only 32,000 persons, representing just 1.68% of active contributors, are self-employed, despite the fact that the majority of workers in the country are in the informal sector. Director General of SNIT, John Ofori-Tinkran, says there is a need for the trust to embark on aggressive marketing to attract the informal sector to sign up. He was speaking at the launch of the Self-Employment Enrollment Drive in Kumasi.
These self-employed persons, the law does not make it mandatory for them to join. So they have to, if they are going to come and join us, it will be because they've seen and heard what is in it for them, and that is why they will come to us. So the first thing we've done is to go out on an aggressive marketing campaign to explain exactly what it is that we do, which are the 4 things that I told you about, that we will replace your salary when you achieve the ripe old age of 60. Or if God were to call you early, or God to pension you early, we will pay you a survivor's benefit to the people who you leave behind. Or if God forbid, for some reason you become permanently invalid and unable to work, we will pay you until death. And then the last thing being that if you are a member in good standing and you go and enroll, you go for health insurance renewal, you don't have to pay anything.
The trust has measures in place to ensure prompt and easy payment of contributions. General Secretary of the Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, believes this will wane off the mistrust and less confidence in the SNIT scheme.
But years ago, the impression people had with SNIT, one was that it was for government staff, employees, and then also I don't think people had much confidence in SNIT. The public confidence in SNIT was not the best. They were in the news for some bad stories, sometimes corruption here and there. And there are those also who feel that you go there and the attitude towards work and other things. And in fact, even when we started this recent, restructuring or whatever, there were people who were afraid and scared about what would that mean for pensioners. But what has happened today, statements from the Director General and the board chair, and the approach they have taken going down to people, the non-formal sector, if you like, and the assurances we are having, attitude towards work, that you don't even need to run to their offices. You can reach out to them on mobile phone. It seems to me they've opened a new page, and Ghanaians must get ready to accept that. They must keep their word. And the government must support them. The things people are afraid of, as they give the assurance, must be exactly so.
Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
Now, fast-moving consumer goods company Unilever Ghana PLC is projecting a positive turnover for the year on the back of many challenges it has overcome in the last 2 years. According to the managing director, George Owusu-Ansah, the company has recovered and began making profit for the first quarter of the year after recording losses since 2019. He was speaking to some selected journalists in Accra.
Unilever Ghana PLC has recorded losses since 2019 when the COVID-19 pandemic struck and affected its supply chain, which forced the company to diversify. It has, however, reduced the losses within a short time and began the year 2023 showing signs of potential profit at the end of the year. The company is expanding in production capacity as well as improving on efficiency. Speaking at a media engagement in Accra, Managing Director for Unilever, George Owusu-Ansah, expressed confidence of a rebound.
In spite of all this, we have turned the corner. And if I were to summarize what I think we have done over the last 3 years and where we are today, I would say together we have done a lot. We have overcome the challenges and difficulties of 2019. We still have a lot to do. And so it is not a time for complacency. A lot to do to rediscover the greatness of this amazing company, a company that I have worked for many years.
Mr. Owusu-Ansah also assured Unilever is committed to leveraging technology to reach out to more people across the country.
50,000 stores, 60,000 stores, we still are not covering every part of that. But we've got into a place where, as you can imagine, the last mile is very expensive because the return from the last mile is very low. The cost to serve the last mile is high, the return is low. How do we, through digitization, make sure that we can assess everyone efficiently? So strengthening our route to market, strengthening our customers becomes very, very important. And in Nanaya's area, our brands. And those of you in the media, I'm sure many of you would have encountered Billy already. You drive around, you see our billboards. I'm sure when you switch on your TVs, you see us. How do we improve the power of our brands in the minds of our consumers so that they try our brands and they experience what is good about our brand?
Unilever was among the top 5 gainers on the Ghana Stock Exchange during the month of April.
Country manager for AZA Finance, Nana Subanahin, is calling on banks and fintechs to leverage technology to create financial products that ensure the quick and easy transfer of credits and loans to SMEs and other businesses. According to him, this is necessary to cushion small businesses as the government works to restore the economy to a good standing. He spoke at the Money Summit organized by the Business and Financial Times.
What has happened to us is we have to make these decisions very quickly. Definitely within our sector, with the banking and fintech sector, what we are trying to contribute to is that what other venues are we going to contribute to the real sector in terms of giving out loans and also creating the necessary financial digital space for real businesses to be able to access financial services like credit and loans. So we will do that to support the government, but hopefully we hope the IMF deal or whatever the government is doing to stabilize the economy will come to pass. Technology is going to help to allow financial services to reach the last mile. Currently, we are able to transfer funds to the rural areas. What we are looking forward is to also transfer services like credits and loans to people who desperately need it in terms of small SMEs who need the services. So technology is going to be the backbone with fintechs working with banks to provide the services to them. What I think is that definitely banks and fintechs have to work together to drive digital payments and digital transactions, which reduces the pressure on holding cash and help improve the economy in terms of inflation or other economic factors. So definitely that's important.
Now, some 163 tertiary students have gained scholarship to pursue science, technology, engineering, and mathematics courses at various Ghanaian public institutions through the benevolence of Goldfields Ghana Foundation. Here's more in the following report.
163 beneficiaries comprising of 84 males and 79 females, as well as 2 persons with disability, are brilliant but needy students carefully selected from the host communities of Takwa and Daman. Each beneficiary is expected to receive 7,000 cedis every academic year, which is subjected to withdrawal of the student who fails to perform. According to the Regional Community Relations Manager of Goldfields, Robert Siao, the initiative is the recognition of higher education and skilled youth to the economic development of the country.
The young generation are our future, and it is the state duty of all of us, including the youth themselves, to do whatever we can to encourage them to be the best of their opportunities. The contribution of higher education and skilled youth to economic development need not be overemphasized. No laudable development agenda will be successful without quality education and skillful population. That is why Goldfields, as a socially responsible company and committed to genuine sustainable development, has taken to the path of human development in the area which we operate. We are happy to award these scholarships to support the development of skilled manpower. We believe that for the huge unemployment challenge facing Ghana to be abated, we must support initiatives that makes education more relevant to the world of work.
The Executive Secretary of Goldfields Ghana Foundation, Abdul Razak Yakubu, noted the gesture is targeted at creating an employment pool. He further urged the beneficiaries to exhibit socially acceptable behaviors whilst on campus.
We encourage you to exhibit socially acceptable behavior on your various campuses. Some of our resource persons have already tagged on that. As a scholarship beneficiary, a Goldfields Ghana Foundation scholarship beneficiary, you have agreed to be an ambassador of Goldfields. If you don't accept the role, we've given you acceptance forms. You can choose not to sign it and return it to us. We will gladly accept it and pass the scholarship to somebody else from your own community who also qualifies. But if you sign the acceptance letter and return it to us, you have agreed to be an ambassador of Goldfields. And what does it mean to be an ambassador of Goldfields? It means you have agreed to live the Goldfields values. Key amongst them is respect. Key amongst them is respect, especially to authority. Back on campus, we will not want to hear of you meddling in issues that result on disrespect or putting up unhealthy attitudes.
Some beneficiaries shared how helpful the scholarship will be to their education.
My dad is not really that, well-to-do, so he actually took a loan to sponsor my first year education. So when you went to school, the school actually opened us up to some of the scholarships available, and then I decided to take some of them and then try it, and then I had the Goldfields scholarship, and I think it's one of the best around, and it will really help me.
I think this scholarship is going to help me a lot because the program that I'm reading, it requires a lot. If you look at the equipment that we are buying and all, we need laptops and all this, and it's really expensive. So like, if I can't, my parents can afford, but not all that much. So I think this class will be going to help me a lot in my studies.
I'm advising the parents to use or to invest more to help their wards to complete their education so that they can get the Goldfields Foundation benefit as a scholarship.
In Athalia Kwansa, Joy News, Takwa.
On that note, we end business tonight. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Beverly Broohm. I leave you with news making headlines on the international front.